Hello, Jen Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. Before we get into today's subject, I just have a couple of items I have to cover first. One of them is very, very important. This first item, very, very important. I would almost say earth-shaking, so you really need to pay attention. I got another subscriber. I want to welcome Jenny Flores. Thanks for subscribing. Welcome to the family. Glad to see you here. Hope you'll stick around, and I hope you'll bring some other people with you. Now, the second item I want to share, well, what can I say except another day, another mysterious explosion in Iran. This time an explosion and a fire, so you get a twofer there, an explosion and a fire at a gas plant in East Iran. I think, I could be wrong, but I think there's been some kind of disaster, some kind of explosion in Iran every day, if not every day, almost every day for the past several days. I don't know who's, well, I have a suspicion, but I don't know who's doing it. I just have to say, whoever you are, keep up the good work. You're doing a fantastic job. Now, on to today's subject. And today's subject is, well, it looks like, if not the Biden camp, if not Joe Biden himself, at least some of his supporters, they're starting to worry about a debate. There would be three of them, actually, debates between Joe Biden and President Trump. Well, I'm referring specifically to an article by Tom Friedman in the New York Times. He was saying that Biden should refuse to debate Trump unless Trump releases his tax returns. If not releasing the tax returns is an issue, and Biden has already said, I've released so many years of tax returns. By the way, quick aside from me, I don't think any candidate should be required to release tax returns. That was not a practice in the past. I don't know or don't remember who was the first president to do this, but a president has the same right as the rest of us. I certainly don't want people seeing my tax return, and I don't want people to require presidents or presidential candidates to show their tax returns. Of course, they can be investigated behind the scenes. Well, no, actually they can't. Now, somebody whom the president appoints, it's fair to privately investigate their tax returns without making them public, but the presidency, that's a constitutional office. That is an elected office, and if we are willing to elect somebody president without having to see their tax returns, there should be no requirement that the president release the returns. I really have no interest personally in seeing Trump's tax returns. It's just not relevant to me. Now, because if he did something wrong, the IRS would call him on it. He would pay some kind of penalty, and if he pays the penalty, then there's no more issue. If he paid the penalty, he was audited, he paid the penalty, that's it, issue over. So that takes care of that particular condition. But the other one, the whole logic behind it is that Trump makes up stuff or gets his facts wrong, and there should be a fact checker at the debates. Now, first of all, this whole notion of fact checker, I want to remind everybody about the 2012, one of the 2012 debates between Obama and candidate Mitt Romney about Libya. Let me just show you this video where Romney said something about, well, you'll see what he said in the video. The point is that he made a statement about Obama and Libya, and something that I had never seen before. The questioner, the moderator, Candy Crawley of CNN, jumped in to correct Romney. In other words, to fact check Romney. So first of all, I want to show you the video of that event, and then I have a second video to show you. So first one, watch.
The day after the attack, Governor, I stood in the Rose Garden and I told the American people and the world that we were going to find out exactly what happened, that this was an act of terror, and I also said that we're going to hunt down those who committed this crime. And then a few days later, I was there greeting the caskets coming into Andrews Air Force Base and grieving with the families. And the suggestion that anybody in my team, whether the Secretary of State, our UN ambassador, anybody on my team would play politics or mislead when we've lost 4 of our own, Governor, is offensive. That's not what we do. That's not what I do as president. That's not what I do as commander-in-chief.
Governor, if you want to reply just quickly to this, please.
I certainly do. I think it's interesting. The president just said something which is that on the day after the attack, he went to the Rose Garden and said that this was an act of terror.
That's what I said.
You said in the Rose Garden, the day after the attack, it was an act of terror. It was not a spontaneous demonstration. Is that what you're saying?
Please proceed, Governor.
I want to make sure we get that for the record, because it took the president 14 days before he called the attack in Benghazi an act of terror.
Get the transcript.
He did, in fact, sir. So let me call it an act of terror.
Can you say that a little louder, Candy?
He did call it an act of terror. It did as well take 2 weeks or so for the whole idea of there being a riot out there about this tape to come out. You're correct about that.
The administration indicated that this was a reaction to a video and was a spontaneous reaction.
They did.
It took them a long time to say this was a terrorist act by a terrorist group. And to suggest, am I incorrect in that regard? On Sunday, your secretary, the ambassador of the United Nations went on the Sunday television shows and spoke about how this was a spontaneous reaction.
I'm happy to have a longer conversation about foreign policy.
Absolutely, but I want to move you on, and also people can go to the transcripts.
I just want to make sure that all these wonderful folks are going to have a chance to get some of their questions answered.
Okay, you just saw that video in which Romney accused Obama of waiting a full 2 weeks to acknowledge that the attack on our embassy in Libya was a premeditated terrorist attack, not the result of a spontaneous demonstration about a video, which was their claim, their false claim, at the time that the attack happened, or right after the attack. We all remember Susan Rice going out for the administration and blaming it all on a video. Never mind that the producer of that video was in prison for a year for a false charge to protect the Obama administration. Now, we have this video from the debate, 2012, Romney accusing Obama of waiting 2 weeks, and Candy Crawley of CNN jumping in and correcting, and you'll know why I'm putting this in quotes, correcting Romney and telling him that he was wrong. The reason I put it in quotes is because Romney was right. So, well, don't just take my word for it. Well, there were numerous articles, but we can hear from Candy Crawley herself. Here is Candy Crawley admitting that Romney was right.
Let's bring in Candy, though. Candy, because this was a moment which obviously now both campaigns are going to be focusing on. Tell us your thoughts during that moment.
Well, you know, again, I'd heard the president's speech at the time. I sort of reread a lot of stuff about Libya because I knew we'd probably get a Libya question, so I kind of wanted to be up on it. So I knew that the president had said these acts of terror won't stand, or whatever the whole quote was. And I think actually, because right after that, I did turn around and say, but you're totally correct that they spent 2 weeks telling us this was about a tape and that there was this riot outside the Benghazi consulate, which there wasn't. So he was right in the main. I just think he picked the wrong word. And they're going to parse, and we all know about what the definition of is. But in the end, I think John's probably right. I think this has a lot.
You saw those two videos. We saw Romney make a charge against Obama. Candy Crawley, a fact checker, jumping in to correct Romney. And at the end of the day, Romney was right. The fact checker was wrong. So the question I would have is that if we're going to have a fact checker at the debates between Biden and Trump, who is going to fact check the fact checker? And it has to be done at the debate, not as happened with Romney, where the record was corrected after the debate, but the damage was done because all the people watching the debate, the number of people seeing Candy Crawley admit that she was wrong and Romney was right, that audience, I'm sure, was much, much smaller. But the other reason not to have a fact checker at the debate, or I should say a separate fact checker, is, well, and if you are going to do that, I would say that you would have to have two fact checkers. Each candidate picks a fact checker, and if there is a question about facts, both fact checkers must agree on what the facts are. To me, that would be the only fair way to do it. But as I was about to say before I digressed momentarily, is there will be fact checkers at the debate, as there have been at every debate. Who are these fact checkers? Who will be the fact checkers? Because there will be two of them, not just one, two fact checkers at these debates, at every one of these debates. If you haven't already guessed, the fact checkers are the candidates themselves. The whole reason, or the ostensible reason, I think it's just to find a face-saving way for Biden to chicken out from the debates, but I would say that the ostensible reason would have to be that Trump gets his facts wrong or he makes up facts. Well, the only defense against that would have to be that Biden gets his facts right, that Biden knows the facts, that Trump does not know the facts, but Biden does. Biden is more informed than Trump. And actually, I'm going to show you a video that will show you that, in fact, Biden is a lot less, well, let's just say, familiar with the facts than people claim.
Joe Biden has never been president for some very good reasons.
And where did you place in that class?
One of them is still breathtaking years later.
I think I probably have a much higher IQ than you do, I suspect. I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class, and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees, and I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
Really, Joe?
Biden now concedes he did not graduate in the top half of his law school class, that he does not have 3 degrees from college, and that he was not named outstanding political science student in college.
Newsweek says Biden actually went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3.
Now Biden says Newsweek is right. His memory had failed him.
Okay, so you just saw that. And as you saw, and should probably agree with me, Joe Biden and his supporters are the last people who should accuse Trump of making up facts or getting facts wrong. I mean, Biden, he flat out lied in that video, and we are not talking little misstatements of fact or puffery or some kind of small, white lie. We are talking about puffery on steroids. That is or what you saw was a really flat out egregious lie. But getting to my main point, or getting back to my main point, the fact checker on Trump should be Biden. If Trump gets a fact wrong, then let Biden correct him. Say that Trump, what you just said was false, or you flat out lied. Here is the truth. Biden is supposed to know it. He should not need a fact checker to come in for him the way Candy Crowley came in for Obama. That is, well, we'll just be mild and say that is unfair. That is unfair for people to jump in and help one of the candidates. It is up to Biden to know the facts. There should not be a fact checker. The only thing there should be is all of you giving me a thumbs up if you like this video, sharing it with anybody you think would also like the video. There's a place under the video for comments, questions, suggestions for future topics. I would love more people to do what Jenny Flores wisely did, perceptively did. Subscribe to my channel. I would love to have more subscribers. But most important, whether you subscribe or not, or whether you agree with me or not, for that matter, I would love for all of you to come back again, because I would love to see you all again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.